Welcome to today's Lost Souls, where we bring you the most impactful and unforgettable stories from around the world. Today, we remember the lives of remarkable individuals whose legacies continue to inspire and resonate. From iconic musicians to trailblazing activists, join us as we celebrate their extraordinary contributions and bid farewell to those who have left an indelible mark on our lives. Stay tuned for a journey through their incredible stories.
Olivia Hussey. Olivia Hussey, the actress who forever became Juliet in the hearts of generations, passed away at the age of 73. She was not just a face on the silver screen, she was a timeless symbol of innocence, love, and youthful tragedy. Her portrayal in Franco Zeffirelli's 1968 film Romeo and Juliet is etched into cinematic history as one of the most iconic performances of Shakespeare's beloved heroine. Born Olivia Osuna on April 17, 1951, in Buenos Aires, Argentina, she was raised by her British mother after her parents separated. At age 7, she moved to London, where her acting journey began. She attended the Italia Conti Academy of Theatre Arts, and by the time she was a teenager, her talent was impossible to ignore. Zeffirelli spotted her in a stage production of The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie and knew immediately she was his Juliet. At just 15, Olivia stepped into a role that would define her career, and perhaps her life. Romeo and Juliet became a global phenomenon, not only because of its lush visuals and faithful adaptation, but because of Olivia's raw, natural performance. She wasn't acting the part of Juliet, she was Juliet, breathless, wide-eyed, full of love and defiance. Her chemistry with co-star Leonard Whiting captured the world, and for her performance, she won a Golden Globe for Most Promising Newcomer. But Olivia's life was more than one film. She continued acting through the decades, appearing in projects as varied as the horror classic Black Christmas, 1974, Franco Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth, 1977, and playing the title role in Mother Teresa of Calcutta, 2003. She wasn't afraid of taking on difficult or spiritual roles, often using her work as a reflection of her own inner growth. Off-screen, Olivia faced profound personal challenges. She struggled with agoraphobia and anxiety for years. She was open about the abuse she suffered in her youth and the complexities of her marriages. She had 3 children, including actress Glen Eisley, and in 2018, she released her memoir, The Girl on the Balcony. In it, she opened up about her turbulent past, her lifelong battle with fear, and how she found peace through spirituality and motherhood. Olivia Hussey's legacy is more than a single role. It is a life lived with courage, creativity, and the will to heal. Her death is a poignant reminder of how deeply one performance can touch millions and how one woman's strength can inspire generations. Franco Zeffirelli. Franco Zeffirelli, the legendary Italian director and producer, passed away at the age of 96, leaving behind a legacy that redefined both film and opera. Best known for his opulent visual style and emotional storytelling, Zeffirelli carved out a place in cinematic and theatrical history with works that touched hearts across generations. His name became synonymous with passion, grandeur, and timeless artistry. Born Gianfranco Corsi Zeffirelli on February 12, 1923, in Florence, Italy, his early life was marked by hardship. He was the product of an affair and raised mostly by a distant cousin after his mother died when he was just 6. But even in those early years, Franco showed an eye for beauty and a fascination with performance. During World War II, he joined the Italian resistance and later worked as an interpreter for the British Army, which exposed him to broader cultural influences. After the war, Zeffirelli studied at the Accademia di Belle Arti in Florence before moving into theatre and film. He began as an assistant to the legendary director Luchino Visconti, who mentored him in staging and visual design. This foundation set the tone for Zeffirelli's career, a blend of classical richness and emotional depth. His breakout moment came with the 1967 film adaptation of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, starring Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton. But it was his 1968 adaptation of Romeo and Juliet that cemented his place in history. Choosing unknown teenagers, Olivia Hussey and Leonard Whiting, to play the leads, he created a film that was both faithful to Shakespeare's language and fresh in its youthful emotion. The film earned critical acclaim, multiple Oscar nominations, and generations of fans who fell in love with the tragic beauty he brought to life. Zeffirelli's contributions weren't limited to film. He was a maestro of opera, directing lavish productions at La Scala, the Metropolitan Opera, and the Royal Opera House. His staging of Verdi and Puccini became gold standards, celebrated for their visual richness and dramatic power. He also directed Jesus of Nazareth, 1977, a miniseries considered one of the most moving and respectful portrayals of Christ's life. He was outspoken and often controversial, especially in politics, religion, and personal beliefs, but he remained unapologetically himself. Zeffirelli was openly conservative and Catholic, yet openly gay in an era when it was rare for someone in his position to be so. His life was a complex tapestry of contradiction, creativity, and conviction. Franco Zeffirelli died at his home in Rome, surrounded by those who loved him. His death marked the end of an era, but his art lives on, in every lush curtain call, every soaring aria, every whispered line of Shakespeare brought to life by his vision. Olivia Hussey. Olivia Hussey, a young actress whose haunting beauty and quiet strength left a lasting impression on the screen, has passed away at just 31 years old. The loss is deeply felt in the film industry, as she was considered one of the brightest rising stars of her generation, a performer who seemed poised to carry forward the legacy of her artistic family. Born on October 29, 1993, in Los Angeles, California, Olivia came into the world surrounded by art, music, and cinema. Her mother, the renowned actress Olivia Hussey, was best known for playing Juliet in Franco Zeffirelli's iconic 1968 adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. Her father, David Glen Eisley, was a rock musician, the former lead singer of the bands Joffrey and Dirty White Boy. From a young age, Olivia was exposed to the dual worlds of performance and creativity. Yet she never let her family name define her. She was determined to forge her own path. Olivia's breakout role came when she was just a teenager, playing Ashley Juergens in the hit ABC Family series The Secret Life of the American Teenager. With a quiet intensity and emotional vulnerability, she portrayed a girl navigating the chaos of teenage life with grace and complexity. The role brought her widespread recognition, but instead of riding the wave into stardom with mainstream projects, Olivia chose a more selective path, taking roles that challenged her artistically and emotionally. One of her most notable performances came in the 2019 TNT limited series I Am the Night, where she played Fauna Hodel, a real-life woman caught in the shadowy web of the Black Dahlia murder case. Olivia's performance was haunting, layered, and deeply human. Opposite Chris Pine, she anchored the series with a performance that critics called hypnotic and deeply affecting. Olivia was known to be intensely private, rarely seen in tabloids or gossip columns. She let her work speak for itself, and it always did, whether in Underworld, Awakening, where she played the hybrid daughter of Celine, or in smaller indie films like Look Away and Dead Reckoning. Off-screen, those who knew her describe her as thoughtful, kind, and remarkably down-to-earth. The news of her death has sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and her fan base, many of whom saw her as a torchbearer for a more soulful, introspective kind of stardom. Olivia Hussey may be gone far too soon, but in every performance she gave, she left behind a spark, a quiet flame of artistry that will continue to burn brightly for those who witnessed it. David Glen Eisley. David Glen Eisley, the powerful voice behind several classic rock anthems of the 1980s and a musician known for his raw emotion and lyrical depth, has passed away at the age of 71. His departure marks the end of an era for fans of melodic rock, where Eisley stood as a soulful, resonant voice that carried both grit and grace. Born on September 5, 1952, in Los Angeles, California, David was the son of renowned actor Anthony Eisley, best known for his role in the television series Hawaiian Eye. But while his father shined on screen, David found his passion in music. As a teenager, he gravitated toward rock and roll, forming bands and perfecting his craft on the Sunset Strip during the height of LA's rock scene. His voice, a striking mix of power and vulnerability, set him apart early on. Eisley rose to fame in the 1980s as the lead singer of Joffrey, a melodic rock band that combined soaring vocals, driving guitar riffs, and synth-heavy ballads. Their debut album, released in 1984, featured the hit single Call to the Heart, which became a defining track of the era. With Eisley's voice leading the charge, Joffrey earned critical acclaim and a loyal fan base, becoming an essential name in glam rock and album-oriented rock circles. After Glen Eisley continued to evolve musically. He went on to form the band Dirty White Boy, pushing into grittier, blues-influenced territory. Throughout his career, he collaborated with a wide range of musicians, including artists like Bob Kulick and Craig Goldie. While he never chased the limelight, his vocal contributions were unmistakable, raw, emotional, and always authentic. Beyond music, David's personal life was grounded in his love for his family. He married actress Olivia Hussey, the celebrated star of Romeo and Juliet, and together they had a daughter, Glen Eisley, who followed in her mother's footsteps and became an accomplished actress. David was immensely proud of his daughter's work and often spoke about how much he admired her talent and poise. In his later years, Eisley stepped back from the stage but never stopped making music. He continued to write, record, and support emerging artists, always staying connected to the soul of rock. His passing has been met with heartfelt tributes from fans, fellow musicians, and industry veterans who remember him not just as a singer, but as a deeply passionate artist. Glen Eisley's voice may now be silent, but his songs will continue to echo through speakers and hearts alike, timeless, emotional, and unmistakably his. Al Pacino. Al Pacino, the legendary actor whose name is synonymous with intensity, brilliance, and cinematic legacy, continues to stand as one of the greatest performers in film history. At 84 years old, he remains an enduring icon, an artist whose presence has shaped generations of storytelling on screen. Born on April 25, 1940, in East Harlem, New York City, Alfredo James Pacino was raised in the Bronx by his mother and grandparents after his parents separated. His early life was marked by poverty, but even in hardship, Pacino found an escape: acting. He attended the High School of Performing Arts and later trained under the legendary acting teacher Lee Strasberg at the Actors Studio. It was there that he developed the method approach that would define his work for decades. Pacino's rise to stardom came with the role of Michael Corleone in Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather, 1972. His performance, subtle and simmering with emotion, captivated audiences and critics alike. Over the course of the trilogy, Pacino's transformation from a reluctant outsider to a ruthless mafia don remains one of the most compelling arcs in cinematic history. His career is a treasure trove of unforgettable roles: the fiery, unpredictable cop in Serpico, 1973, the cocaine-fueled gangster Tony Montana in Scarface, 1983, the blind, passionate lieutenant colonel in Scent of a Woman, 1992, which finally earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor, and so many more. Each role carried Pacino's unmistakable style: intense, vulnerable, and completely committed. Outside of film, Pacino has always remained connected to his first love, the stage. His Shakespearean performances, including Richard III and The Merchant of Venice, have shown his classical chops and earned him high praise in the theater world. Despite his fame, Pacino has always been a private man. He never married but has had several long-term relationships and is a father to 4 children, including a son born in 2023. He speaks often about his deep love for acting, calling it not just a job, but a way of understanding the world and himself. Even in his 80s, Al Pacino continues to act, recently appearing in the acclaimed series Hunters and in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. With each appearance, he reminds us why his name is etched into the very fabric of film history. Al Pacino is not just a legend, he's living proof that true passion knows no age. Sean Penn. Sean Penn, the fiercely talented and often controversial figure of Hollywood, remains one of the most compelling actors, directors, and activists of his generation. At 63, he continues to be a presence that demands attention, not just for his artistic accomplishments, but for the intensity and authenticity he brings to everything he touches. Born on August 17, 1960, in Santa Monica, California, Sean Justin Penn was practically raised on a set. His father, Leo Penn, was a director and actor, and his mother, Eileen Ryan, a respected actress. From an early age, Sean was immersed in the creative world. But rather than coast on his family's legacy, he carved out his own, and did so with fire. Sean Penn's early career in the 1980s showed his range immediately. From the iconic stoner surfer Jeff Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 1982, to darker roles in Bad Boys, 1983, and At Close Range, 1986, Penn quickly proved that he was not going to be just another pretty face in Hollywood. His performances were raw, deeply emotional, and often unsettling in their honesty. He would go on to deliver some of the most acclaimed performances of the modern era. His role in Dead Man Walking, 1995, as a death row inmate earned him an Oscar nomination. But it was his devastating portrayal of a grieving father in Mystic River, 2003, that won him his first Academy Award. His second Oscar came for his role as Harvey Milk, the first openly gay elected official in California, in Milk, 2008, a performance both tender and powerful. Penn's talents don't end with acting. As a director, he's crafted thoughtful, often haunting films like The Indian Runner, 1991, Into the Wild, 2007, and The Pledge, 2001. These works reflect his deep interest in the human condition, how people endure suffering, seek redemption, or struggle with identity. But Penn's legacy isn't limited to cinema. He's also known for his activism, sometimes praised, sometimes criticized. He's been on the ground during crises, like Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and the 2010 Haiti earthquake, helping with relief efforts personally. He's met with world leaders, interviewed notorious figures like El Chapo, and has never been shy about speaking his mind, even when it sparks backlash. Sean Penn is a man of contradictions, fiercely private yet outspoken, emotionally intense yet incredibly thoughtful. He doesn't just play characters, he inhabits them. And in a world where authenticity can be rare, Penn remains unapologetically himself.
Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, the 39th President of the United States and one of the most enduring figures in American political and humanitarian history, has passed away at the age of 100. His life was a testament to humility, service, and unwavering dedication to the betterment of humanity. Long after leaving the White House, Carter redefined what it meant to be a public servant, not through power, but through compassion. Born in Plains, Georgia, in 1924, James Earl Carter Jr. was raised in a modest, hardworking family. He attended the U.S. Naval Academy and served with distinction in the Navy before returning home to run the family peanut farm. It was there that he became deeply rooted in the values of faith, perseverance, and equality, principles that would guide his entire life. Carter entered politics in the 1960s, first as a state senator, then governor of Georgia. In 1976, against all odds, he ran a presidential campaign built on honesty and hope, promising a government as good as its people. He won. As president, he faced enormous challenges, from inflation and energy crises to international turmoil. But among his greatest achievements was the Camp David Accords, a landmark peace agreement between Egypt and Israel. His presidency, though often politically criticized, was morally courageous. After leaving office in 1981, Carter didn't retreat from the world stage, he expanded his influence in new, selfless ways. Through the Carter Center, he championed human rights, fought disease in the world's poorest regions, monitored elections, and promoted peace where it was least expected. He helped nearly eradicate guinea worm disease and dedicated decades to eliminating poverty, injustice, and preventable suffering. Carter was also known for his hands-on work with Habitat for Humanity, often seen, well into his 90s, with a hammer in hand, building homes for those in need. He believed that true leadership meant lifting others up, not standing above them. He was a man of deep Christian faith, a devoted husband to Rosalind for more than 75 years, a father, a grandfather, and a beacon of what integrity in public service looks like. Despite personal health struggles in his later years, he faced them with grace and optimism, continuing to inspire millions around the globe. Jimmy Carter's passing is the closing of a chapter in American history, but his spirit will live on in the values he embodied: peace, service, and love for all people. Jeannie Francis. Jeannie Francis, a beloved figure in daytime television best known for her iconic role as Laura Spencer on General Hospital, has passed away at the age of 62. Her legacy is woven into the very fabric of soap opera history, remembered not only for her acting brilliance but for the deep emotional connection she forged with millions of viewers over decades. Born in Englewood, New Jersey, Jeannie's love for acting began early. By the age of 14, she had already stepped into the world of television. But it was in 1977, when she took on the role of Laura on General Hospital, that her life, and the landscape of daytime TV, changed forever. She became a cultural icon almost overnight, and her on-screen romance with Luke Spencer, played by Anthony Geary, turned into the most famous storyline in soap opera history. Their wedding in 1981 drew over 30 million viewers, the highest-rated episode in soap opera history, turning the fictional couple into household names. Jeannie's portrayal of Laura was heartfelt, raw, and deeply human. She brought vulnerability, strength, and grace to the screen, making her character feel real in a world of fiction. Fans didn't just watch her, they rooted for her, cried with her, and saw parts of themselves in her struggles and triumphs. But Jeannie was more than just Laura. Off-screen, she was a fierce advocate for mental health awareness, often speaking openly about her own challenges. She wanted people to know that it was okay to struggle, and even more okay to seek help. Her courage to be vulnerable both on and off the screen touched countless lives. Throughout her career, she earned several Daytime Emmy Awards and numerous accolades for her performances. Yet, despite her fame, she remained humble. She would often say that the real reward wasn't in trophies, but in the letters and stories fans would share, how her performances gave them comfort during tough times or made them feel less alone. Jeannie was also a devoted wife to actor Jonathan Frakes and a loving mother of two. Her family was her anchor. Friends describe her as kind, thoughtful, and fiercely loyal. She often preferred quiet time with loved ones over the spotlight, even at the height of her fame. As the lights dim on the long, unforgettable life of Jeannie Francis, her memory shines brighter than ever. Through her characters, her advocacy, and her compassion, she left behind not just memories, but a legacy of empathy, resilience, and heartfelt storytelling.